Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lords of the Night. With me, as always, is the Lord of Pain, Ranting Monkey,
Hello.
and the Lord of Puppies, SDA.
Are you sure about that?
Well, because suddenly I forgot to turn off the sound to the actual stream, so it started blasting in my ear my own voice. And so I was like,
Oh God.
Yeah, it disrupted
like,
my brain there for a second. So sorry about that. Hello, SDA.
Hi.
And I am your host, Scribe, Lord of Punishment, and I've just punished myself unwittingly. But anyway, how are you guys tonight?
I am good. How are you?
I am good because I have the end of an argument. If my wife is watching, I can finally prove something to her.
Okay.
Okay. What's that?
Did you guys see the meme that Jordan made with me, Scribe, Drunkle, and Irate Bear on the bodies of the trim guys
Chippendale
in their Speedos?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. I want you guys to take a good look at that, and you will notice that their nipples are not in the center. They're off center like nipples are supposed to be on a man.
Okay.
Hold on. Now I have to go back and look. Fuck, somebody send it to me.
While you guys are looking at that, I had some super chats before we began.
God, I don't even know where it is, Monkey. Sorry.
Hold on. I had some super chats before we began. C3 section said, some birthday money shall be your Christmas money. And the ad request is a remake of the failed Britcom, Heil Honey, I'm Home. Make it more like One Foot in the Grave, where Hitler must endure retirement in Colombia. I think he was in Argentina, but I'll work something out. Thank you, C3. And then Point Curation says, shout out to the Video Lexicographer, a neat channel. Got you there. And thank you, Terry DiMontes. Have an extra $1. I like this title pun. Yes, well, we'll get to the title pun later, but thank you, Terry. All right, what are you guys saying?
You're right. Their nipples are all weirdly off to the side, like they shouldn't be.
No, that's not weirdly. That's how men's nipples are. They are not directly in the center of the breast, for fuck's sake. I win again. All this winning gets... I think that's what broke my neck.
Are you tired of winning,
this
Monkey?
Winning. Yes.
No, this my phone beeps at me. Thank you, Dark Shade. Pinched nerve in the neck while having a cold sucks. I agree. That does suck. I hope that goes by quick.
I hope you feel better.
Let's see. Yeah.
I think that's a campaign promise fulfilled, though, by Trump, because he said that you would get tired of winning. So there you go.
Oh, there you go. Trump did it again.
Best president ever.
SDA, several people had a question about why last night's stream is unlisted and unavailable.
It's in the playlist.
Oh, okay.
Like all the other streams.
Oh, I guess they were looking for it. So yeah, go check out SDA's playlist for last night's show, guys. Let's see. Monkey Dick, Jim Jones, movies. Hit that like button if you haven't already, and share our stuff, far, wide, and otherwise. Especially the link to this stream. Tell all your friends so they can come down and listen to us be silly, amongst other things. So do we have anything to go over before we hit the schnuzz?
Not that I am aware of.
SDA?
Me neither.
All right. Well, I was going to start with one thing, but then this popped up, and oh man. Define Schadenfreude. CNN lands huge scoop on Donald Trump Jr. Moments later, it collapses.
Yes.
Because I saw this earlier, and I was wondering when I looked shortly before the stream why I didn't see it again. And yeah, this was a big, like, the headline story about Donald Trump Jr.'s emails about WikiLeaks documents, and then it disappeared. It's like, well, something else happened? But in a June panel discussion, CNN senior congressional correspondent Manu Raju, if I'm saying that correctly, addressed the attacks that descended upon him over a correct story about Tom Price's questionable investment decisions as a congressman. Quote, you just cannot screw up in this environment because they'll use every small mistake to come after you and suggest that you have some nefarious motive in your reporting, he said. Yeah, because CNN doesn't go after Donald Trump for every sneeze and report it as nefarious. But anyway, and now a variation on that rule. They'll use every big mistake to allege that you have some nefarious motive in your reporting. Well,
you know what? I can forgive a small mistake. Big mistakes, yeah, that does make me start to question your fucking motives.
Thank you, Snubber13. Is it true James Franco had sex with a underage girl, and if so, odds before he's Weinsteined? I heard something about that, but I don't think she was underage. I think she was just, well, it depends on the state. I think she, I don't want to tell stories out of school. I remember hearing something about that. I don't know if it was a crime necessarily, but we can look that up later, I suppose. Let's see. Behind the reporting of Raju and Jeremy Erb, CNN on Friday reported something semi-scandalous. Quote, exclusive, email shows effort to give Trump campaign WikiLeaks documents. The lead of the piece captures the claim. Quote, candidate Donald Trump, his son Donald Trump Jr., and others in the Trump organization received an email in September 2016 offering a decryption key and website address for hacked WikiLeaks documents, according to an email provided to congressional investigators. The email, reported CNN, was dated September 4th, 2016, and as the story details, the timing was significant. That was the very day, after all, that Trump Jr. first tweeted about WikiLeaks and Clinton. Quote, WikiLeaks, Hillary Clinton sent thousands of classified cables marked C for confidential, read the tweet carrying a story from a Trump-favorable site. Pretty wild. What a coincidence. Except, the Washington Post reported Friday afternoon that the email was actually dated September 14th, 2016, and that it, quote, indicates that the writer, identified as Michael J. Erickson, may have simply been flagged information that was already widely available. It also pointed the recipients to documents relating to Colin Powell on DCLeaks.com. Those, too, had already been released. The email was among a ton of unsolicited emails that Trump Jr. received, according to his lawyer, Alan S. Futeris. CNN's story finds itself at a significant disadvantage to the Post story. Here's how CNN sourced its scoop on this email. Oh, was it by insiders with a knowledge of the situation or something?
Probably unnamed sources.
The email, which was described to CNN by multiple sources and verified by Trump Jr.'s attorney, came from someone who listed his name as Mike Erickson, unquote. And here's how the Post sourced its piece. Quote, the email sent the afternoon of September 14, 2016, noted that WikiLeaks has uploaded another huge archive of files from the DNC and included a link and a decryption key, according to a copy obtained by the Washington Post. Blah, 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 blah. So anyway, CNN once again fucked up. And this isn't the first time. I mean, they put out that story where those guys got fired and they retracted the story and everything.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't something new for CNN. They are so quick to pull the trigger on this stuff, thinking that they've got some super duper scoop and they want to get first to it. And, you know, I can understand a certain amount of, I suppose, journalistic zealotry when you want to get something out quick, but you don't check your sources with two big stories in relatively short time apart from each other. Well, not good, guys.
I linked the one about oh, Jesus Christ, my mind just went blank. I am so sorry for that, guys. The one about how Trump Jr. had been passed WikiLeaks stuff early. Yeah. But actually, I linked the Washington Post story because they point out in there that CNN alleged that was done on the 4th, and it was actually done on the 14th, where that alone, even if it had been done when they said that the information was already out there, it doesn't take that long to check a goddamn date.
No.
And you put the story off what? Even if you have to dig for an hour, you put it off an hour to get it right, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, and remember, the editorial staff at CNN supposedly is led by Chris Cillizza, our blog posting editor at large. Indeed. So how someone, you know, they haven't fired whoever's responsible for this yet, but give it time. Thank you, Sanguine. Sources, CNN don't need no stinking sources. Research ad, fantasy where Samar Brander finds its way into mortal hands. Why do I have a feeling that Summer Brander is another mythical sword or weapon or something?
I hope it's a mythical dildo. Are there mythical dildos?
I can make it a mythical dildo.
Huh. Anyway, and on the CNN one, we're going to get to a story later, guys, where, I mean, the news, there's certain segments of the news that quite clearly have an agenda.
Yes. Sorry.
It's just every time well, I made one mistake and now everybody's questioning me. If it was one goddamn mistake, nobody would be questioning you. That's the issue, you dumb motherfucker. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Well, Speaking of dates that got wrong, Roy,
Nice segue.
yeah, Roy Moore accuser admits adding notation to yearbook inscription.
Ah, dumb bitch.
Beverly Young Nelson, who has accused Alabama GOP Senate nominee Roy Moore of sexually assaulting her decades ago when she was a teenager, admitted Friday to adding a notation to a high school yearbook inscription she says Moore wrote in 1977. Moore, his allies, and his attorney seized on the admission, pointing to it to argue that Nelson's allegations of sexual misconduct against Moore are not true. Nelson, one of several women who have accused Moore of sexual misconduct in recent weeks, alleged that Moore groped her and tried to force himself on her while in his car. At the time, Nelson said she was 16 and Moore was in his 30s. Her allegations against Moore were made alongside celebrity attorney Gloria Allred last month, and she presented the yearbook inscription as proof she and Moore had known each other over 40 years ago. In an interview with AB... What?
Repsion's in chat. How you doing, bud?
Hey, Mr. Repsion, how's it going?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just had a fanboy there.
I feel like you did mean to interrupt him, though, a little bit.
Wait, when a big celebrity shows up, I am more than happy to be interrupted.
There we go.
Let's see. What? Actually, I actually posted to a tweet of his today. That's right. I remember that now. Done a lot of stuff today. In an interview with ABC News on Friday, Nelson reiterated that Moore signed the yearbook. The inscription says, quote, "To a sweeter, more beautiful girl, I could not say Merry Christmas. Christmas 1977, love Roy Moore, M-O-R-E. M-O-R-E. Is that
She
a quote?
spelled it wrong?
Well,
No, this part is still supposedly written by him.
Yeah, this is written by him. M-O-R-E. D-A 122277 Old Hickory House. Old Hickory House was the restaurant Nelson worked at in Gadsden, Alabama, where she had met Moore in the 1970s. Quote, "Beverly, he signed your yearbook," Nelson was asked by ABC News' Tom Lamas. "He did sign it," Nelson replied. Lamas followed up with, "And you made some notes underneath." "Yes," Nelson said. ABC News did not ask Nelson specifically what notes she added. Conservative media outlets and supporters of Moore quickly pounced on the admission as proof that Nelson was not being truthful. Well, yeah, what did she add? I mean, if it said love Roy, and then she added Moore, misspelling it, D-A 122277 Old Hickory House, is it Roy Moore or is it another guy named Roy? Oh, holy cow. I missed some super chats. Sanguine. Oh, I got that one. Okay. The other one. Sanguine. Since Monkey wanted this. Research ad 2. A movie about the golden phallus created by ISIS. You know I'm going to make that a terrorist thing now, don't you?
So, yeah, for those in the audience, he does not mean the terrorist group.
Yeah, no, he doesn't mean the terrorist group, but I certainly might. And also, thank you, the Hate Camel. Movie ad, The Lords of the Night as the cast in a reboot of WKRP in Cincinnati. I See Monkey as Dr. Johnny Fever, Scribe as Les Nessman, and SDA as Venus Flytrap.
Nice.
All right, Camel, I will do it again. I'm gonna have to watch some old WKRP promos to get that going. God, Les Nessman. That's such a great name.
Back to this story. When this first broke this afternoon, I so wish we'd been on the air live, because this is so stupid. From the looks of it, if you have to guess, and you do because she didn't specify, it looks like the inscription at the end where it adds the full date and where it happened is what was added, and that's what everybody's guessing. And even if that's true, from the beginning, that should have been pointed out. Period. Just this was what he wrote. This is what I added just as a notation for myself, because what she has done here is given anybody with any doubt, anybody who's looking for doubt, their smoking gun right there, because she lied about fucking nothing, because she defended it as, no, the whole thing is real. This has been a fight that's been going on since this broke. Roy Moore's attorney has been asking for access to this yearbook so they can have handwriting samples done.
Right.
And she just gave it to him. She may have just given him this election. Even he could be guilty as fuck, and she just handed it to him.
Well, here's so speaking of that. So Allred said she retained forensic handwriting expert Arthur Anthony to examine the inscription by comparing Moore's, quote, known standard handwriting and signature to the entry in Beverly's yearbook. She said her expert concluded the writing was prepared by Moore and called Anthony's analysis important evidence that supports her client's claims. Allred added, quote, we did not ask the expert to examine the printing after the cursive writing and signature because Beverly indicates that she added that to remind herself of who Roy Moore was and where and when Mr. Moore signed her yearbook. Well, first and foremost, I'm just curious, did he misspell his own name? That's what I'm really wondering about, because that's odd. Anyway.
I just, you know.
So, yeah.
Why? That makes absolutely no sense at all. It doesn't. The explanation makes no sense. I could believe if she came out and said, you know what, I wrote this down to remind myself of where it happened. That makes sense. You don't need the date because on the signature there's the 77. So unless you're thinking 1877, you didn't need that either. But I could accept, I wrote myself a note. But don't lie about it.
Mary Catherine asks, Scribe Light, isn't there a statute of limitation on this sort of thing? Well, yeah, it's so far as I know, unless, it depends on the state. There are some crimes that have longer statutes of limitations than others. Most commonly, murder doesn't have a statute of limitations. Sexual assault and or rape varies. I don't know what the deal is in Alabama, but more likely than not, no pun intended, even if there was evidence of something having happened, which aside from this inscription, there isn't any direct connection between her and Roy Moore, I don't think he could be prosecuted, but that's not what we're dealing with here. We're not dealing with criminal acts unless she sues him civilly for something else, but rather the political fallout. And like Monkey said, sort of like Al Franken and Louis C.K. giving open-ended apologies, letting in any allegation to be used against them. This lady's one lie, or the one that we know about at least, helps to discredit or call into question anything that might be legitimate. I said it on Twitter today. Roy Moore could be guilty as sin, but this lady just handed him a pass, or at least the reasonable doubt that that voters could take and just say no, or anybody else really.
Yeah, because it doesn't just cast doubt on what she said, because this is like, if somebody brings up, well, what about the other accusers? And they'll go, well, this girl lied. Why couldn't they be? And for, oh God, I should just shut up.
Any thoughts, SDA?
Not really. Not anything other than like what you guys have said. The situation is just weird, I guess.
Okay. Well, the other part of it, okay, I'm going to say this. Okay. Somebody signing your goddamn yearbook, even as weird as that is, that doesn't prove shit. Not a goddamn thing. Now, it is weird that this guy signed her yearbook, but if they were in some social setting like that, and he could have done it just to be nice. The other evidence against this guy is fucking shit. It's just garbage. Now, that's not saying he did nothing wrong. It's not. But she got up there and cried her goddamn eyes out, and her smoking gun was, he signed my yearbook. This shit needs reined in. It really does, because the listen and believe narrative is not good for anyone. It's just not. That's not how justice works.
So in relation to the title of the stream, my funny little pun, this popped up on CNN. Of course, we do know it was a trustworthy source, but this has got nothing to do with that. Dylan Farrow, if you don't know who Dylan Farrow is, we'll find out in a minute. Why does Woody Allen get a pass? Dylan Farrow, the adopted daughter of Mia Farrow and Woody Allen, is asking why the director has not suffered the same fate as other powerful men in Hollywood accused of sexual misconduct. In an opinion piece published by the Los Angeles Times on Thursday, Farrow describes her anger over Allen maintaining his career despite her allegation that he sexually assaulted her in their home when she was 7 years old. Farrow first shared her account with Vanity Fair in 2013. Allen has consistently denied the allegation and was not criminally charged. That's probably why.
Yeah.
It's 4 years old. It was brought up, it was brought up after decades of it, whatever, and he's denied it. And besides which, you want to talk about Woody Allen having scandal ride him regarding sexual misconduct. Sun Yi, his like 13-year-old wife or whatever the deal was, or his underage wife or adopted daughter or something.
17?
Was that it? Was she 17? Let's see.
Yeah. Because there was no real crime in what he did. It was just kind of creepy, if I remember the story right.
Let's see. Dylan Farrow's accusations. Trying to get down to the. Where's the thing about? They don't mention his wife? Seriously?
Are they still together?
I don't know. I thought so. I mean, I not that I keep up with Woody Allen's personal life all that much. Let's see. Okay, well, it's not an illegitimate question. Okay, because even things that happened in the past that were relatively well known, like Ben Affleck or whatever grabbing that lady's breast or whatever it was, and all these other things. So these things had been known and out there for quite some time, but they've resurfaced in order to not necessarily destroy a career like in Ben Affleck's case, but at least become an issue again. So, okay, Woody Allen was creepy, marrying his teenage adopted daughter or whatever it was. And this lady makes his other adopted daughter makes an allegation against him. Why hasn't it?
Oh, Jesus. Rolling Bear says enough of sexual harassment already. Everyone needs a hobby. I'm sorry. That's fucked up. That's funny.
Wow.
Though. Well, one, it is an old story. That's part of the problem. For all that we've talked about with Harvey Weinstein, how it was the open secret, it never became a big story. This is a big story. The Ben Affleck ones, I mean, they never became a giant story. There was a little bit of pushback on them, but not much, especially the beach one where he just fucking groped the chick.
Right.
And in the other one, the chick said there was no problem with what happened. She had no issue with it. So it's not sexual harassment. It's just not.
Oh, First Cynic says Sun Yi was 27 when they were married. How old were they when they got together? I guess is the question.
Put his first willy in her.
I think there are two factors here that are preventing the Woody Allen thing from becoming more. First is the lack of criminality that has been substantiated.
Yeah.
And two, the lack of more than one accusation from a separate person. Now, for all I know, there have been other stories that I just don't know about Woody Allen coming along. But it came about when we have multiple sources. Like Al Franken, it was that one lady first, and then like 6 other people showed up. And then with Harvey Weinstein, it was one audio recording that came up, and then multiple other stories that showed up, and all this other kind of thing. I think the lack of population in the story might be part of the problem.
I wanted to bring something up regarding this, and did we talk about the Time Person of the Year?
Oh, you mean the Me Too generation?
Me Too. Hashtag Me Too. The whistleblowers is what they said. There's a quote in that just when I saw, I haven't read the thing, but Phil DeFranco covered it and gave a quote from Megyn Kelly that just fucking blew my mind.
Okay.
She says she didn't think this would happen. She doesn't think this would all be happening if Hillary Clinton had been elected. Donald Trump has set back women or some shit like that. Donald Trump has set women's rights back, or the implication being that if Hillary Clinton had been elected, all of these women would still be silent.
Ah, interesting.
And she says it as though it's a good thing.
Yeah.
As though that would have been a great, you know what? If only you'd elected the bitch, none of these guys would be having any issues right now. And they put this in the hashtag Me Too as the thing of the year, unironically.
So Hillary Clinton as president would provide cover to sexual assaulters or harassers, whereas Trump has exposed them.
Basically, yeah.
And of course, if Hillary Clinton was president, Harvey Weinstein would never have done all those things that he'd already done before she was even elected. Okay.
Yeah. Again, the implication is that Trump has hurt women. That's why this is happening. But
so
these women were hurt before he ever ran for president, so they should have just kept their mouths shut if Hillary ran.
Thank you, Terry Diamantis. Plus, his name is Woody. People knew what to expect.
Well played.
Let's
yeah,
see.
I found that quote so fucking retarded.
That is really odd. I only got a couple more. Well, I got one that's kind of a deep topic. Maybe I'll save that one. But this one kind of stuck out to me today because it just seems a little ironic. So maybe I'm asking a question that doesn't have an answer. But what did people compare Obama to when he first got elected, especially the Tea Partiers?
I heard Obama compared to a lot of things. Help me out here.
Hitler, a lot of Obama posters, little mustache underneath.
Oh yeah.
So at a speech today, Obama invokes Nazi Germany in warning about today's politics.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Former President Barack Obama urged voters this week to stay engaged in democracy, warning that complacency was responsible for the rise of Nazi Germany.
What?
Real complacency was responsible for the rise of Nazi Germany. Really, complacency, not economic forces, not societal anger over the treatment of their country by the winners of World War One. Not that it justifies anything, but complacency was responsible.
Lazy Germans.
Quote, you have to tend to this garden of democracy, otherwise things can fall apart fairly quickly. And we've seen societies where that happens, Obama said at the Economic Club of Chicago on Tuesday. Quote, now presume there was a ballroom here in Vienna in the late 1920s or 30s that looked and seemed as if it filled with the music and art. I'm reading it as it's written, guys. Art and literature that was emerging would continue in perpetuity. And then 60 million people died. An entire world was plunged into chaos. So you got to pay attention and vote.
The fuck is he talking?
I don't know.
The fuck did he just say?
Hold on, real quick. Dark Shade, thank you. New video from Feminist Frequency. Quote, is the Force feminist? Are you joking, or is that a real thing?
I hope it is real. I'll look.
That would be great.
If it is, I will destroy.
Peter Hades, thank you. Can I get an ad for a Hollywood Rehabilitation Center for Sexual Assaulters? Nah, dealer's choice may be a better way to go. I
think the center is a good one.
I think a sexual. I think an ad for a sexual assault rehabilitation center, given that that's where Kevin Spacey is gone and that Weinstein went, makes perfect sense.
Hi, I'm Kevin Spacey. Have you put your dick where it doesn't belong?
Is that your court order PSA?
Yes. If you guys want, I will give, if he was making an argument, there could be an argument made that the current political climate could lead to what happened in Nazi Germany if you said anger is making people go out and vote for folks that are going to take away your right to say things, and then they can do whatever the fuck they want, because that's actually what happened in fucking Germany. Oh God, Obama's not smart, y'all. He's just not. He's not a dumb person, but if you've ever seen him when he has to think on his feet, it's a 50-50 gamble. My favorite clip of him, his teleprompter went out, and he just goes, if, and it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. But there's also times when he kind of answers. And then there's times where he gives like Bush-esque answers, like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, well, you're not going to fool me again, which is one of the greatest quotes in history.
Hold on a sec.
Cryptic, him.
Okay.
No, go ahead. Do your super chat.
Cryptic, thank you. Obama can suck a big Kenyan dick because he didn't get that from his dad. Whoa. And thank you, Gregory Hurst. I think Obama's point is, if Trump applies for art school, let him in.
Nice. Obama's just never been a good thinker. He's a good organizer. That's just fact. And God, he's an idiot. Don't say stupid shit like it. We need to let the Germans go. Just let them go.
Okay.
We beat up on them enough for World War II.
All right. So speaking of dumb, and this one Monkey alerted me to before the stream started. This comes from Newsweek. This is big news, guys. I mean, big, important, vital news.
Before you read the story, this is my time to remind you, Newsweek, the entire magazine, not just an issue, once sold for $1. Okay, go ahead.
Mike Pence's pets won't stop dying. This is authored by John Haltewanger. So this amazing piece. Vice President Mike Pence's family has lost yet another pet, a cat named Pickle, just 6 months after cat Oreo died. In a tweet announcing Pickle's death, Karen Pence described the late feline as a very chatty and sweet kitty. The Pences had Pickle for 16 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The vice president's daughter, Charlotte Pence, posted a heartfelt tribute to Pickle on Instagram. Quote, when we first rescued Pickle 15 years ago, she had been neglected, so she was scared and mean and almost never let us hold her. When we said goodbye to her last night, she was purring in our arms. Thank you, Pickle, for teaching us about the power of love and family, how the power of love and family can change someone. The Pence family has had tough luck when it comes to pets over the past 2 years. The clan lost Oreo, its cat of 13 years, in June. 13 years.
That's not bad luck. That's just having pets that are old.
Yes. Rest in peace, Oreo. You touched a lot of hearts in your little life. Our family will miss you very much. Shortly before the presidential election in 2016, the Pences lost a beagle named Maverick. Heavy hearts today. Our beagle of 13 years passed away quietly last night. Rest in peace, Maverick. We will miss you. After Oreo passed away in June, the Pences adopted a new puppy and kitten, Harley and Hazel, as a surprise to the vice president for Father's Day. Meanwhile, the Pences also have a rabbit named Marlon Bundo, who has his own Instagram account, about whom Charlotte Pence is penning a children's book. The book, which is set to be published in March, is called Marlon Bundo's Day in the Life of the Vice President. The Pences, okay, here comes the big, I'm waiting for the real quick. Thank you point. If yo think Obama is bad at thinking on his feet, look at Trudeau. Tolerance, diversity, understanding, give Qatar 10 million. And thank you, Sanguine. Fuck them for knuckling on the sore spot like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, just wait. Now, apparently, we're going to get to the point now because we're coming to the end of this. We got to be getting to the grand conclusion, the big, revelation about this information. The Pences obviously love animals, but President Donald Trump is the first resident of the White House to not have a pet in many years.
What?
I'm going to read that one.
Yeah,
I'm going to read that one again for everybody. Yeah, for everybody in the cheap seats, I'm going to read that one again. We just went through a litany of the obituaries of the Pence's family's decade and a half old pets on average. And this is the first sentence of our conclusion. The Pences obviously love animals, but President Donald Trump is the first resident of the White House to not have a pet in many years. Before Trump, every president since William McKinley had a dog, and some basically ran personal zoos inside the presidential residence. John F. Kennedy, for example, had 10 dogs, ponies, rabbits, and birds. Calvin Coolidge, and perhaps the most interesting, had the most interesting White House pet, a pygmy hippopotamus named Billy. Trump, however, is petless. He also reportedly views the Pences as, quote, yokels and, quote, low class because of all the animals they've brought to Washington. Reportedly. Okay. Reportedly by who?
Unnamed source.
Unnamed source. And here's the wrap up. It is unclear if the stress of Washington life is getting to the Pence's political animals.
For fuck's sake.
No! Oh my God!
No,
the story should literally be like Mike Pence and family takes really good care of animals.
Okay.
Oh no, it's not done yet. Not done yet. What?
Wrap up. I'm sorry. I don't mean to keep interrupting.
Yeah, okay. Almost done. Okay. The typical lifespan for a cat is between 12 to 15 years. So Pickle and Oreo had full lives. The same can be said for Maverick, as beagles typically live between 12 and 15 years, and he made it to the ripe old age of 13. So perhaps there isn't any capital intrigue to the issue. My story is pointless. I just want to let you know my story about is pointless.
Slam Donald Trump in the process. and then admitted we had no fucking story.
Thank you, Gregory Hurst. They shouldn't have gotten social justice terriers. Oh!
Yeah, and then
like, what kind of bullshit? Good God.
Somebody got paid for that. He got paid to write that fucking thing.
I want that person's job where I can just be like, Donald Trump and family, drink water.
For the record, not only was this written, this is one of the stories that Newsweek tweeted out. Somebody didn't dig this up. They tweeted this out.
Jesus. Okay. All right. Yeah, like SDA said, exclusive. Despite Trump's opposition to the EPA, the Trump family drinks water.
Yes.
Yeah, or like, just like that story was literally, Mike Pence knows how to keep an animal alive for as long as possible. Okay. And like what? What? They're having bad luck. Well, no, they're just old.
I like it's unclear if the pressure of Washington is causing these pets to die. By the way, they all lived really long times.
It's like being like, oh,
the pressure of Washington. The pressure of Washington on the animals. What are the animals? Are the animals in the administration? Please tell me, please.
Have you never seen cats versus dogs?
I have.
See,
I've actually seen that
That's
movie.
what's going on.
All right. Now this one is. I might save this one for deep topic because this is seriously a question that a CNN religion editor has asked. Okay. This is CNN's religion editor. This is the question on his article. Roy Moore, Jerusalem, and LGBT rights. : Why is religion so divisive?
What?
Why is religion so divisive? He asks. I have absolutely no idea. Could it be that people have an idea that their personal deity is infallible and the way they see the world is the right one, and anybody else who disagrees is wrong? Could that be why? I don't know if I need to read the story. I just wanted to point out that was actually a headline on CNN. It's just
Weibo sent us a story to the wrong hashtag.
Yeah, well, it's Weibo. Your fingers probably couldn't reach the keyboard. MSS News. So Weibo, you sent a story to the wrong hashtag. Can you send?
She forgot the S at the end.
Can you send it to the right hashtag, Monkey, so I can see it? Because
I got it.
She needs us to see it.
MSS New.
MSS New. Okay, so guys, if you have news stories you'd like us to read on the air, please send them to us via Twitter, using the hashtag MSSNews, S at the end. Can't promise we'll get to them all, but we'll definitely take a look at as many as we can. Let's see. So, Oh, I hit the latest link wasn't working. There we go. And Monkey has sent me the hashtag MSS News. Okay. All right, so this one comes from Weibo Jones. Hiring bias study. Resumes with Black, white, Hispanic names treated the same. Well, this is new because I always hear the opposite. Mm-hmm. This was posted May 4th, 2016. Okay, well, glad you found us a hot take, Weibo. New research on hiring bias found resumes bearing names traditionally held by Blacks and Hispanics are just as likely to lead to callbacks and job interviews as those bearing white-sounding names. The findings announced last week at the University of Missouri diverge from the results of a famous study from more than a decade ago that found Lakeishas and Jamals were far less likely to get job interviews than Emilys and Gregs. But the study co-author Corey Codell, an associate professor of economics and public policy at the University of Missouri, cautions that it would be, quote, crazy to interpret the results to suggest hiring discrimination is a problem of the past. Well, then what conclusion did you come from this study then? Quote, people should not overreact to this study, but I think it is a data point to be considered when thinking about discrimination in the labor market today. So I should think that there isn't much. Not that it never happens, but that it's not as bad as maybe the old study suggested. Let's see. In the original study, Bertrand and Mulanathan, I don't know if I'm saying that right, sent nearly 5,000 resumes to 1,300 job ads they found in newspapers in Boston and Chicago from fictional applicants with very white-sounding names like Emily Walsh and Greg Baker, and very African-sounding names like Lakeisha Washington and Jamal Jones. The names were randomly assigned to higher quality and lower quality resumes and submitted for administrative support, clerical, customer service, and sales openings. The white names got 50% more callbacks than the black names, regardless of the industry or occupation. One of the criticisms of that study was that Lakeisha and Jamal can denote socioeconomic status, and that employers may have made assumptions about education and income rather than race. Yeah, I mean, nobody's a mind reader. You also don't know that they made any assumptions on race either. So, or any assumptions at all. Hoping to capture the effect of race alone, Cadell and his co-author, Rajiv Darolia, I'm saying that right, conducted their experiment using surnames that the U.S. Census shows overwhelmingly belong to whites, blacks, and Hispanics, while using first names to signify gender. In the new experiment, the researchers sent nearly 9,000 resumes to online job postings in 7 cities for positions in sales, administrative assistants, customer service, information technology, medical assistants, and medical office billing. The resumes from the fictional black applicants bore the last names Washington and Jefferson, while those from white candidates bore Anderson and Thompson. And those from Hispanic candidates bore Hernandez and Garcia. See, maybe it's just me, but if I see Washington and Jefferson as last names, that doesn't automatically signal to me the person's race. Maybe that's just me. I don't know.
Washington does for me, Jefferson not so much.
Thank you, Diesel Dave. I thought cats lived longer than that. I just had put my cat down, and he was almost 24. It depends on the breed. It depends on, you know, the one cat, the one that just passed away for the Pences, had been a rescue animal, so you know its long-term health prospects might have been damaged in its life prior. My two cats, when I have the ones in my family when I was born, they both lived to be about 18 and 19 years old each. So, you know, it all depends, I guess.
It's also based on the averages. There's a lot of them that just don't live that long.
Just kind of like there are people who will naturally live to 70 and people who will naturally live to like 90.
Point Curation says, what if Irving Washington applied? You mean Washington Irving? That was the guy's name. Gregory Hurst, thank you. What do you bring to this job, Mr. McWatermelon? Oh, Jesus. Oh, God. Weebo Jones says, I thought it was significant because the methodology was less flawed. Well, that's true. And I have heard that same old study reported or used as a source in videos I've seen recently, like videos I've looked at for potential content in the last month. So it's still out there, even if there's studies that might question that.
Now, this is purely empirical. I've hired a lot of people, and the majority of the time, I don't look at the name until after I've decided whether or not I'm going to call them in the first place. Because that stuff is, I just skip to, a work experience and can you even get here, and again, I can't speak for anybody or for everybody, but that's how I did it, just because you go through so many.
Let's see. This one comes from Raymond Lewis. I read this too regarding Roy Moore. He said something at a speech. 1 second here. Let me pause the video that's playing in my ears. Roy Moore believes America was great during slavery. Twitter users detonate. This is from the Huffington Post. GOP Alabama Senate candidate Roy Moore stunned some listeners when he said he thought America was, quote, great during the era of slavery. Though he made the comments at a campaign rally in Florence, Alabama more than 2 months ago, they've reemerged in a viral tweet just days before the election. Back in September, one of the few African Americans in the crowd asked the candidate what he thought was the, quote, last time America was great. Quote, I think it was great at the time when our families were united. Even though we had slavery, they cared for one another. Our families were strong. Our country had a direction, unquote. Okay. At the same rally, he also referred to Native Americans and Asians as reds and yellows, the LA Times reported. Well, if he'd said whites and blacks, would that have been bad?
Well, yeah, it would be.
Yeah.
because he's not allowed to speak.
Thank you, Mule 1066. Excerpt from found footage in a timeline where Steve Irwin disappeared filming the Ranting Monkey troupe on the Batsident night. The extra is for cheesy Aussie accent. Oh, God. Yeah, well, Mara Jane's going to love me. Okay, found Steve Irwin disappeared during the Ranting Monkey troupe on the Batsident. Troupe? I don't know.
My family... That he's watching My Family during the battening. Like he's studying me as that happened.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. I think I understand. All right. Thank you, Mule. I will work on that one.
This is he worded that very poorly. He didn't have to go all the way back to slavery, but we saw this with Make America Great Again. Everybody, what you're saying is you want to go back to the 50s when blacks and whites were separated. We can look at our history and see that there was some good and some bad, and strive for the good and leave the bad where it was. That's entirely possible. It's entirely possible to go, we had more family structure and people seem to do better, but we can still drink at the same water fountains as Negroes. You don't have to look at it as a whole and go, if you mention anything good that happened in the past, then you're obviously horrible. This goes back to the same, Hitler drank water, so if you drink water, you're obviously Hitler. You don't have to take all of the bad. We can look at history and go, yeah, maybe there were some things we used to do a little bit better.
Let's see. This one comes from Jack the motherfucking Cochran. I said it right this time. Florida man. Okay, Florida man 37 is sentenced to 15 years in prison after he was caught on camera vandalizing mosque and leaving bacon at the front door.
Okay.
So he's a vandal, but he was just leaving presents. What's wrong with that?
15 years. A man who vandalized a Florida mosque in January 2016 and left a raw slab of bacon on its doorstep was sentenced to 15 years in prison on a hate crime conviction.
Fuck
Michael Wolf, 37, pleaded guilty on Tuesday to criminal mischief to a place of worship in a case considered a felony hate crime, said Todd Brown, spokesman for Florida's 18th Judicial District. Surveillance video after the 2016 incident showed a man with a shaved head and camouflage clothing breaking windows, cameras, and lights with a machete at the mosque in Titusville, Florida, near Cape Canaveral. Muslims are prohibited from consuming pork products, including bacon, and hate groups have used pork products as a way to desecrate U.S. mosques, according to the Council on American Islamic Relations, or CAIR. The Florida CAIR branch agreed with prosecutors, I'm not surprised, and defense attorneys in determining Wolf's sentence. 15 years. Look. Oh, wait. Oh, sorry. 15 years in jail and 15 years of probation.
Fuck that.
Served after his prison sentence. So
that
30 years.
Crazy.
30 years for this.
He absolutely vandalized the place. That's not cool. Leaving bacon on there, fuck you. I don't care about that part. I think that's funny.
Honestly, I don't think dropping off food. Maybe he thought they were hungry. Should be an offense. I don't. It's just dumb. Even if you gave a vegan some bacon, it's it's food. Calm the fuck down. Unless you're giving me mayonnaise or onions, in which case that's a fucking hate crime, and you should absolutely go to prison for that. Like you said, it says
15 years. Really, I've heard people getting less time for killing someone. Yeah, we just saw that in California, didn't we? Mm-hmm. I don't have a problem with him getting in trouble for what happened because he absolutely vandalized the place. But 15 years in prison for that? Fuck you.
That's ridiculous.
Did the guys who put "Make America Great Again" and Trump, etc., spray painting it on churches that turned out to be hoaxes as far?
Hello?
What? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Did we lose Scribbles?
I think we lost to Scribbles.
Oh, okay. Well, I had trouble the other night, so I was just assuming it was me. Oh, are you back with us?
Can we time out Minding Freedom, please?
No.
Hello? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Can you hear us?
Okay.
Calm down.
Yes. Well, I'm calm. I'm just trying to figure out if we've crashed.
Okay, no, we didn't crash. We lost you right about the time you were asking about people doing.
I was just curious if people who had spray painted onto churches Trump messages and such were getting 15 or 30 years worth of
of course not.
criminal consequences for what they were doing. Now, this guy deserves to be punished, but vandalism becomes 30 years. I mean, well, first off, 15 years in jail for vandalism.
Yeah.
That's insane. And then 15 years on top of that of probation. So he's going to be 67 by the time he's out from under this if he serves the full of both the sentence and the probation. That's nuts.
It's stupid. And hate crime laws don't do anything. Either the crime is a crime or it's not. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The only time it matters your reasoning is I would guess if you killed somebody in cold blood who had just raped your daughter, I have no problem with that.
Gregory Hurst, thank you. Note to self, leave turkey bacon next time.
Oh, that would be so funny.
Is that a hate crime then? See, this is why it's dumb. It's just fucking bacon. Like, come on, dude.
That's absolutely retarded.
Okay.
If you leave a lubed up goat, is that considered like a sacred gift? What?
Okay.
Genuine question.
I want to get one more in before we'll get to YouTube. I'm just looking through the stuff that people have sent recently. I don't want to miss out. What's a good one? Yeah, we talked about that one. Okay, how about we do this one as our final one. This one comes from senior staff reporter and chief Florida correspondent Colleen Bernier, although this story comes from SDA's backyard. Willimantic man pleads guilty to having sex with dead woman. Dozens of times a day across Connecticut, prosecutors give judges a thumbnail version of a crime as defendants plead guilty. On Tuesday at Superior Court in Danielson, that routine recitation caused a bit of a stir as Aaron Grazer, 39, pleaded guilty to fourth-degree sexual assault and violation of probation. Grazer, the prosecutor told the judge, quote, had sex with a woman who had expired, unquote.
Expired.
Like she
went bad.
Yeah. Her born-on date went past. At the word expired, several heads snapped. Holy shit.
Yikes.
Maybe snapped up, maybe. As lawyers and defendants waiting for their cases to be called turned to watch, listen more closely, and eyeball Grazer. For his crimes, Grazer was sentenced to a year in prison. So fucking a corpse gets you a year in prison. Breaking windows, 15 plus
15 years.
Well, it's really the bacon that was the big deal, I think.
Yeah, but he was spared placement on the state's sex offender registry after the judge found, quote, registration is not required for public safety based upon the facts in this case.
No, he's just a corpse fucker. Like, why would that be of any interest to the public?
The case began in January when Willimantic police received a 911 call about an unresponsive woman. Officers arrived and found heroin and needles near the woman and tried without success to revive her. A medical examiner would later tell police the woman was dead before anyone called 911. The woman was Grazer's girlfriend, and a detective began to question him as others examined the scene inside the apartment. A detective spotted ligature marks on the women's wrists and ankles, and Grazer wanted aloud to a detective whether they suspected his arrest months earlier for choking the woman could be relevant. So Grazer began to talk. He told detectives he found his girlfriend unresponsive and tried to wake her up. She was sitting and hunched over on their bed, and heroin and drug paraphernalia were on her lap. Quote, Aaron stated that he laid the victim down the bed, I'm reading it as it's written, and he rubbed her sternum, according to the warrant for the arrest. Aaron stated he listened to see if the victim was breathing, and he heard gurgling. Aaron stated he knew the victim was having sex with him. What? Aaron stated he knew the victim, hated having sex with him, so he figured that the victim might wake up if he had sex with her.
Real quick, SDA, we're getting a little clicking from you.
Sorry.
I don't see the problem here. Maybe he was born that way.
I just like the fact that he's doing the old Grimm fairy tales version of Waking Up Sleeping Beauty.
So he tried to wake her up by having sex with her because he knew she hated it.
Aaron stated he knew the victim hated having sex with him, so he figured that the victim might wake up if he had sex with her. Jesus.
Well, you can't argue with his logic.
Questioned further, Grazer admitted to detectives that he tied the woman's ankles and wrists to bedposts, quote, because it was a fetish of his. After he finished, he untied her, put her pants on, and called in his neighbor, a former paramedic, who later told police she believed the woman had been dead for a couple of hours. An autopsy determined that the woman was dead when Grazer had sex with her. The ligatures were the key. Had the woman still been alive, there would have been bruises under her skin. No bruises meant no blood was flowing at the time, the medical examiner told police, according to the warrant. As for the gurgling, Grazer said he heard that could have been from decomposition gases escaping the woman's body. Dear God. That's insane.
I'm kind of glad it didn't work. I wouldn't want this to replace CPR when you think somebody's dead.
You and me, yeah. So you think somebody's dead, just rape them, and that's totally okay.
Well, I'm glad it didn't work because I would hate to find out that this guy has the ability to fuck the life into people.
Yeah, no shit. Well, I've fucked the life into people before. Yeah, there you go.
All right.
That's who. Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I don't understand it either. Bruni Strongbear asks, "Why is it a crime, though? Yes, the state should decide what is and isn't a crime, but come on, necrophilia shouldn't be a crime because you shouldn't legislate morality." Oh, so, I can't legislate people killing each other or raping each other.
Excuse you?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, abuse of a corpse and everything else.
Who do you really hurt?
I mean, I suppose you could make the argument that at that point she was an object and not a person.
Oh, and we can't objectify women, dead or alive. Sorry. Lose.
Are you arguing for a necrophilia monkey?
I think it's really but no,
let's say you have to think about that.
Wait. No, I've heard this argument before that nobody's hurt. And they're not wrong. And so if that's your reason for thinking necrophilia is bad, then yeah, you're right. I'm against it because you're fucking a dead person.
Gregory Hurst, thank you. Zombie movies would change forever. Oh God. Yes. Well, I can cure you of your zombiness, just bend over.
Wouldn't you? I would love to see a movie, Zombies versus Necrophiliacs. I think that could be one of the greatest movies ever made.
God. All right. Well, on that note, let's move on to YouTube time.
Yay.
I'll go first because I don't have much. I'm still working on a video, a TEDx talk. I got it all put it together. Fortunately, the guy repeated himself in several places in the video, so I was able to cut out a lot of stuff and keep it a little shorter than usual. I got the script mostly written. I'm just kind of working on the summation. I hope to have that out this weekend sometime. SDA, what are you working on?
It snowed today, so I did everything but the internet. Because I'm in Georgia, where it doesn't fucking snow, and it snowed. And
how much snow you get?
Like, not a lot. It's not the point. It snowed. I was excited, so I was outside all day. And that's what I did. So.
Yeah, it snowed here, so I stayed the fuck inside. You want me to go?
Scribe, okay. Oh, he's just dead. That's what it is. Monkey, fuck him.
Quick, fuck him back to life.
I'm not doing it. You do it. You fuck him.
I'm not fucking him.
Oh, how did Jinx like it? Jinx actually does not like wet or cold. So he's not a big snow guy.
The last dog we had loved snow. I mean, he would go running through the yard with his snout in the snow and just having a great time. You could throw snowballs to him and he'd jump up and catch them. He fucking loved snow. Hated water, loved snow.
No, Tula really liked snow, which was our last dog. Tula likes snow, okay, but Jinx, like, anything that's like wet or cold, he hates it. Like, he went outside, to use the bathroom, and he came inside, and there were actually skid marks in the snow on our deck.
Now, when you say skid marks, you mean him stopping, not like
yeah,
a
like
trail of shit, right?
no, like actual skid
Okay.
marks, like where
All right. I'm just making sure.
like there's an actual like skid mark where he like slid into like home base to get inside. So I did not get to play with my puppy in the snow.
Nope asks if he got brain freeze. Not that we could ever tell. That dog just loved snow. He would go crazy. It was awesome. We lost Scribble, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about what I did. Last night we mentioned that Patreon had made some changes, and I was going to leave it there with the comments that I had made last night. But then I saw that they had updated their reasoning. And so I actually went and read through everything. And almost immediately, the math didn't make sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not so much the math, it's the way they present it. Because under the old system, all of the fees that help keep Patreon running came from us, the creators, the people who were donated to.
Right.
And so like the max fee that we got, according to them, would be about 15%. So that's the absolute max we would take, or that they would take. And under the new system, we would get 95% of that dollar, or if it was a dollar donation, sorry, we would get 95% of the donation. But because they're talking about percentages, they actually say donors might not have known how little of a percentage the creator was taking home. Well, under the new system, a dollar donation, you're actually taking home less of a percentage of the money they take from the donor, because the donor's now paying $1.38. So I'm fucking reading this, and it's like there's something bugging me and nagging me about the math. And it's not necessarily the math, it's the fucking way they present it. Then I go and read their update, and their update is absolutely retarded, because they're trying to show how.
Hello?
Hey, welcome back. How you doing over there?
I had an internet service outage there. The entire block was down, apparently, according to my neighbor and everything. So
we kept it going. I'm in the middle of my video right now.
Okay. Thank you, tall person. Movie ad: Zombies versus Necrophiliacs. I want to see that movie too, but give credit to Monkey in the ad. It was his idea. You got a tall person.
Oh, there you go.
All right.
So yeah, I went and looked at the update, and I was reading the update, and that one pissed me off even more, because the way they present it is just so deceitful. They use a 2.5 month span so that they can try to show you're going to get more fees, and you're just not. It's just when the fees come. And so that, yeah, I sat here probably for an hour and a half debating whether or not I wanted to tackle this, because I knew it would have a lot of math in it, and those are boring as fuck. But I had to, because this was just too stupid. If they had fees that they had to raise, just say so, and take it from the creator. I'm the one who made the deal with you that you could have money from me.
Mm-hmm.
But I just really hated the way they presented it, because it's a fucking lie the way they presented it. And so I couldn't stop myself, and I did that. That's all.
That's all. Any internet drama today? Well, we did have Mr. Repsion in the chat. That's exciting. It's not drama per se, but that's cool.
It was dramatic.
It was dramatic.
Yes. I do have a little bit. I mentioned on Twitter today that I was thinking about kicking a hornet's nest.
Yes.
I think I mentioned this briefly yesterday. If you guys don't know what Magic the Gathering is, this might be a little boring to you, but there's a guy out there, right? I know him as the court. Oh, you got another super chat.
Oh, no. Zombies versus Necrophiliacs starring August Ames. Oh, Johnny Bravo.
Johnny
Bravo. That's, oh, God. Is that a too soon?
Too soon. That's okay. That was funny.
Okay. Tell you what, I will make that the sequel to the tall person Zombie versus Necrophiliacs. So there'll be two separate things, because I'm not going to combine them and cheat that way. So there you go. I'll do that.
God damn you, Johnny. Now I can't remember what I was talking about. Oh, I know him as the Quartering. He goes by several names online. I don't remember them all. I'm very new to this whole situation. But what's basically happened is he's been banned for life from Magic the Gathering. And He was actually banned for life because of things he did outside of the game. It was trolling and supposed harassment on Twitter and other social media, Twitter, Facebook, that kind of thing.
Doubting Tommy says Undoomed has the quartering on a live stream right now. Ranting Monkey.
Oh, I wish I could go. Because I watched his video where he's talking about how he got banned or about actually getting banned. And the way he presents the video is not honest. He was banned. The reason they gave him for banning was their code of conduct says that you can't harass other people, but it also says that you can't purposefully troll the community. And he repeatedly trolled the community. Now, I understand, you know, having a problem with getting banned because of things you did outside of the game. But in their code of conduct, it doesn't say anything about being in the game. Their code of conduct also tells you quite openly that if you are banned, they keep everything. One of his problems is that he has whatever in-game currency they use still sitting there waiting where he was going to buy booster packs and stuff. So he says, you know, basically they took my money. Well, no, you gave them their money. They took their tokens back. Prospero says that Count Dankula did a really good video on this. Dankula did a very good video on the argument of him harassing specifically that girl. There's a girl does cosplay that he supposedly harassed, and that's what kicked this all off. She decided she's not doing cosplay anymore because of him. And there's really not evidence that he harassed her. But that's not what he was banned for. It's just not. He was banned for the trolling. And you can see this because he shows the evidence that Wizards of the Coast, who own Magic the Gathering, sent him an email with the charges against him and the specific instances of evidence that they were using. And he's going off about how, oh, it's just Pepe. Well, in one of them, somebody makes the comment, now the real question is, what shirt do we wear for max triggering? And they're talking about going to some event. And he responds, I know just the shirt. And then it's this Pepe shirt with a Magic the Gathering thing on it. That is specifically saying you're going somewhere to troll somebody. He says that he was going to their Vegas event specifically to troll somebody. He repeatedly says he's doing this. I have nothing against trolling. I don't. I love it. I think it's funny. But if you're part of a community that says you're not allowed to do that to them, that you can get banned for it, you can't really bitch when it happens.
I mean, but look on the bright side.
What's
you
that?
might actually get laid now.
Oh, well, the bad part is this is how he makes his money. So he's fucked right now. And that is fucked up. If I were him, I would have handled this different because Wizards of the Coast offered him a chance to, you know, defend himself. And he made two responses. The one is, I don't know how, or I don't know what the charges are against me. And then almost immediately he sent him a second reply going, that bitch is lying, basically. You can't say you don't know what the charges are and then start defending yourself against the charges. But it wasn't the charge. When they did respond to him and showed him what the charges were, he lashed out in anger instead of going, you know what, I'm sorry, you're right, I fucked up there, it won't happen again. Instead, it's like, they're out to get me. If you fuck up, you can't really turn around and go, well, they were mean to me. I sympathize with him. I do. I hope he can find a way to make this right. But I could not help but throw my opinion in there because I don't think he helped himself at all here. And complaining about it now, he's thinking about like maybe suing somebody, and I just don't see where you'd sue anybody on this. It's a code of conduct that you know and you violated purposefully. I'm just saying. Tommy says he was on a stream earlier today with Bearing saying he didn't know exactly why he was banned, that they didn't get evidence. He made a video, I watched it last night, showing the evidence that they gave for him. And it's the trolling thing. That's what it was. So yeah, I hope he can get his stuff back because that's fucked up. He's got, I'm sure, a ton of money poured into that thing. But yeah, when you run into a situation like this where you're accused of something, you really do need to take a hard look at yourself and make sure. Because my honest opinion here, I think he could get some pretty good press from this if he was honest about it and went to, say, some gaming site and tried to give his side of it. Like, look, yeah, I was trolling. Maybe I crossed the line a little bit, but I was just having fun. I wasn't harassing anybody. I was trolling a little bit. I don't think I deserve a lifetime ban for that. I think most people could get on board with that. But if you go in there going, didn't do nothing, then people are going to look at it and go, yeah, but you did this and this and this. They showed you what you did. So I think just, maybe be honest about what you did. Own up to your shit. That's all. That's the only thing I know going on. Hello? Did we lose Scribbles again?
I don't know.
Can you guys hear me? Okay. Lucky says he might be able to get a refund for his money in game, but I think that's it. Maybe, but they specifically say that they can revoke not only your cards, but any content, which content would include your tokens. It's fucked up. I'm glad I don't play that, because their code of conduct is seriously overly sensitive and unreasonably harsh. I think he has a great case if he's going to push that. I just don't think he can get away with didn't do nothing. Okay, so we lost Scribbles. We need a deep topic for the next 20 minutes. Let's talk about how much Scribe's internet sucks tonight.
Scribe's internet really sucks. It sucks dick at fucking pussy.
Wow.
I totally stole that from Fane and Pat, so like, don't give me credit. But
oh my God, guys, I've been meaning to promo this. If you guys have not seen Poisoning the Wells video, Hefner,
oh my God, it's so funny.
You need to go watch.
It's really funny.
Yeah, Tana Mojo made a video called Hefner, which, by the way, is cringy as fuck. It actually did pretty well, though. It was like number 35 on some iTunes chart. So the guys at Poisoning Well got the idea to do it as a lounge song.
Mm-hmm.
And
it is so funny.
I used to sit at work, and when I worked at a machine shop, and I would amuse myself with the thought of rappers going and singing in casinos when they're like 90 and doing it as a lounge act. For me, my favorite one was You Can't Touch This. So when I saw this, it just brought that back to me. It just made me laugh so hard, but it is really great. You should check it out and watch it.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Honestly, it's better than her version, not gonna lie. It's like a lot better.
Weebo wants to know who we think is a bigger or a better trap, her or Hi, I Think I'm Real.
Hi, I Think I'm Real, probably. I mean, like, you're just more convincing as a trap.
There you go. What about people launching a campaign slandering Jeremy? Jeremy's the quartering, and I sorry, whatever else names he goes by. What about people launching a campaign slandering Jeremy and trying to get him through the Magic the Gathering and YouTube and Patreon? Is that not harassment? By their own logic, they should be. Yeah. He has a case that people are also harassing him. And he probably should have made that case before they made theirs, or as soon as he knew they were going to make theirs. He should still pursue it if it's something he thinks is worth pursuing. Because, yeah, if you look at what some people have said and done, they've absolutely broken the rules too. Might want to get Diesel Dave super chat. Thank you. Where's it at? Oh, Diesel Dave says, I think he's married. Again, talking about the quartering. I believe he is. I've never got to talk to him myself. And I know I've only become aware of his channel recently. But I think it sucks for the guy. I really do. And I really do hope he can get it all back. I just think own up to the part that you did that caused it. I had when I worked at that machine shop, there was one night I just fucked off all night, like literally all night. I had a friend who worked there too, and normally you can't talk in a machine shop. It's very loud. But if you get really close and you're yelling, you can have a good conversation. And I spent 10 hours just standing around talking to him. The next day, my boss comes over to me and he goes, your numbers last night were really bad. And I looked at him, I said, yeah, I didn't do anything. He said, what? I said, yeah, I fucked off all night. And he just kind of looked at me, he goes, you might be too honest. I'm like, well, what am I going to do? Lie to you? You can see I didn't do anything last night. And his answer was, you know what? You're honest about it. Don't let it happen again. And it's not a problem. And it wasn't. I never did it again. I made sure I at least got the numbers I was supposed to. And it's amazing what honesty can get you. What's that?
I said, and then dicked off.
I didn't hear. Well, yeah, I still dicked off because the numbers we were supposed to get were so ridiculously low. You could do it anyway, but yeah. No, so
just sort of kidding, but not really.
No, it's true. I fucked off there all the time because the job that I was supposed to do to hit each night this many parts, and it was fucking ridiculous. And one time, just to fuck with them, I spent a night working. And I set a record on that machine that was like 3 times what anybody had ever got on it before. And my boss came to me, he's like, how did you do this? I'm like, I just worked for a change. And